Welcome to Worlds Beyond. This is Jared Walters. I am with James, Anna, Stanley, and Shaun from the Art of Modern Wizardry. How is everyone doing?
All right.
Very well, thank
Very
you.
well, thanks.
Great, thank you.
Fine, thanks.
Good. Excellent. Sorry about the, as I mentioned last week, I'm sorry about the interview that didn't happen. I just thought we'd sit and have a little bit of a chat. Can someone tell me, does one of you want to tell me obviously a bit about the organisation, about what it's all about, that kind of thing?
Yeah, okay. I'll go first.
Looking
around, everybody's looking at me. Modern Wizardry, well, as an organisation, it was set up as a charity by Stanley, Ken and Fiona about a couple of years ago now. And before that, Stanley recognised as he was growing up that he was a wizard, and so the term wise philosophy came, and that then stemmed into the charity, which is the Art of Modern Wizardry, which we are today. So that explains how the organisation literally came to be.
So what's the concept of it? Because I've read a little bit on the website, and if anyone does want to go to the website, what is the website, by the way, just for me to sort of remember it?
www.theartofmodernwizardry.com.
So it's www.
.org, sorry, yes.
artofmodernwizardry.org. So if
Yeah.
anyone of you guys is really worth a good read. I've read it. I've been reading it, and I've been quite captivated by it. So, can I ask, just throw the question out, what is modern wizardry then?
Go on.
Everything you would expect, but nothing that you would be expecting of yourself.
There you go.
That's really profound. Okay. So,
And yes, it's fun.
is it sort of like, is it the sort of, the media sort of concept of wizardry, or is it something fundamentally different to that? What sort of things, what's involved in it all then, and what would you tell people about it then?
Well, it's a good way to get to know yourself a little better. We all need to get to learn to know ourselves a little bit better, because in changing ourselves and applying wise philosophy, we can navigate our way through life a little bit more skillfully, perhaps make the right decisions instead of the wrong choices that we've took, and learn from the wrong choices that we've took. It's definitely not what people think it is. It isn't Harry Potter and it isn't Lord of the Rings. We try to employ wise philosophy in all that we do. There are some differences between our association and other pagan associations, or Druidry or Wiccanism. In fact, it's somewhat gentle. It's a just somewhat gentler path, I think.
So, sorry, I cut you off. So, what's actually involved in it? How does one sort of, if I was to sort of, can one join the association, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can join. We do a little bit of a question and answer thing on Yammer, which you're invited to if you join, and it's also advisable.
That's the online academy.
The online academy.
Yeah, the AMA. Oh, right, I see. Online. All right. I was thinking. So, how does it all work then? How does it? What sort of things do you kind of explore? Because I know obviously through conversations you said that you obviously do follow meditation and that kind of thing, and there's also an element of spirit working in there.
Yeah, absolutely. We do a meditation called treeing, which is rather simple. It's simple to the extent where your body actually wants to do it.
Yeah.
And it's a process of joining with everything and absorbing the energy of everything, and it has a balancing effect. keeps you keeps you very wise. You know, how should I get it?
Excuse me, ice cream van there.
Now, there is actually a downloadable version of the wizardry exercise on our website. Anybody who's going through the website will very easily find it. It's clearly labelled wizardry exercise. It's all written up there. You can read it. You can read it off the website, or you can download it and try the exercise yourself.
Could we actually try it today? So doing the interview, so to give people an idea of what it's like, or would it be something that someone has to sort of do it? So I always ask kind of this. I've had so many different things that I've had like cut readings. We've done all different kind of things on the show. So would it be something we could actually try here today, or?
Well, I was taught by this chap here, so...
Yeah, we can do it now. It might be a little quiet on the radio, but we can give it a go. So all it is if you just relax for a second, and you can do it standing, sitting or lying, but standing up or sitting is best. And you just relax, first of all. And you can close your eyes or keep them open, and then just focus on your own energy and allow it to gather in the centre of your stomach, in your abdomen area. So just gather it there, and you're gathering it as a white light, but if you can't visualize it as a white light, just allow it to gather there. For anyone who might be struggling with this, you can do a positive affirmation and say, I'm gathering my energy in my abdomen, if you want.
I'm gathering my energy in my abdomen.
So you can do that in your mind. You don't have to say it out loud if you want to. Okay. And now all you need to do is just send that energy down your legs towards the earth. Sending it down, out through your feet into the ground. And then just imagine pushing that energy out into the earth, deeper into the ground, right the way down, and pushing it down so you're connecting with the center of the earth, the energy of the earth, the silver light that's at the center of the earth, just pushing those down like roots of a tree, right the way out and spreading deeper and wider. And the tips of that connecting with that silver light, allowing them to mingle with it, pushing deep into it. And now pulling that silver light up towards you through those roots. Bringing it towards your feet. Bringing it up through your feet, back towards your abdomen area. And continuing it up towards your head, allowing that energy to flow up. And then out through the top of your head, stretching up. Pushing up. And then spreading branches out, higher, stretching out, reaching up, and then pushing that energy as high as you can and spreading out, right the way up, towards a golden heavenly light, pushing up high. and the tips of the branches of the leaves mingling with that light, pushing into it. And then pulling that light down towards you. So that comes down through the branches, right the way down towards your head. Back into you, down towards your abdomen, pulling that golden light down. Continuing down through your feet. Pushing it out into the ground. Pushing down, growing stronger, deeper, spreading. So you're firming your roots. Pushing into the center of the earth towards that silver light. Allow them to grow. Pushing the tips into that silver light, allowing it to mingle. As deep as you can. And bringing that silver light back up, pulling it up, through the roots, up towards your feet, pulling it up through your body, allowing it to stream through you. Pushing it up through your head, out, high up. Allowing it to stream up into those branches. Spreading up high. Stronger and wider, reaching up as high as you can. Pushing up to that golden heavenly light. Mingling with that. Keeping that stream of energy flowing up from your roots right the way up to the heavenly light. And now bringing another stream of energy down from that golden light pulling it down through the branches. Back towards you and through you. Pushing it down your legs and out through your feet so that it streams down into the ground, spreading out those roots right the way down into the centre of the earth, flowing through you. And just let those two streams of energy flow. The golden light flowing down and the silver light flowing up. So they're washing through you, part of you. Just washing through you. And now bring those energies back into your abdomen area so that they're building it into your abdomen. Filling everything that you are, every cell of your body, filling you up with those energies and spreading through you. Spreading out into all that you are. Bringing balance to you. And then when you're ready, just return back to the room.
You're back in the room.
That was incredible. Oh, I'm really relaxed now.
You enjoyed that?
I'm still like full of energy, like nice and calm. And do you ever like? Because I was getting like little visualizations when you said about the golden light. I could see it before you said about it.
That's great.
And I could see trees as well. Like what are those trees? Like the leaves go right down to the ground.
Willow.
Weeping willow, perhaps.
Or I'm not sure if it's a fern tree or something, or like there's. And when I went up the second time, then each branch had the gold light going through it. That was. For some reason, I kept seeing you, Stanley. I kept seeing you.
Think of it as your connection to the tree of life. All of life is energy. There is a tree of life which we are all part of. And that exercise affirms, strengthens your connection to that energy and to the oneness that we are in the tree of life.
Can I ask, where did the meditation come from? Did you actually come up with this, Stanley, or?
It was a very ancient method that was used long before most of the dictators were even thought of. And over time it got distorted and made into rituals, which it was never intended to be. It was supposed to be for all of humanity.
Because the feelings I was getting was like a grounding feeling, but it was more powerful than that. It was more like an attuning as well. It was really, it's hard for me to actually put it into words. It is. It really, I am quite.
It's your daily connection with everything, you see. And the more you do it, the more balanced you become. And the more balanced, you know, everything else becomes around you, because you project your own reality. And you know, if you're a balanced person, then you just take that everywhere with you. You see.
Do you mind if I keep a copy of that so I can use it?
No, there's a on the webpage. There's a written description of the treeing exercise that you can follow, and there's also a video clip that somebody did in an animation form that runs a little bit fast, because usually we take about 10 minutes to do the exercise, but that clip also goes through that exercise as well. So it's just
available on the Modern Wizardry channel on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah.
YouTube is such a wonderful thing, isn't it? The video you got with light workers, what show was that like? Because we did a video on your YouTube channel. You did a video on a show called Light Workers.
Nick Ashton show.
Yeah, that was the Nick Ashton Light Workers.
What channel did I go up on then?
It goes out on Sky. It's the controversial channel.
What, sorry?
Controversial channel on Sky.
Yeah.
Controversial channel.
Yeah.
Is it actually a channel called the Controversial Channel?
Yes, there is.
This is new every day.
They have clamped down on it considerably, and a lot of the shows have gone awry, but you know, it's still there. You know, there's still a few things that's worth watching on there.
And that interview is still being repeated even today. So.
How long ago was that then?
Ooh, wait a minute. 80, around 1997, I think.
Wow, it was a while back then. So obviously you were one of the founders of. What can I ask you, Stanley? What actually led you to discover the identity of a wizard then? If that, I hope that question kind of makes sense. But what led you down this path then? What sort of experiences did you have that kind of led you into the person you are today then?
Well, my reply always seems to stop people from getting the. They don't know whether to be happy or disappointed. Because the simple answer is I woke up.
Which is what most people need.
And you can wake up too.
So did it come overnight, or was it just something that, you know, a series of experiences?
I brought a lot of information with me. And programmed it into different time slots in this lifetime, so that I would have quite a lot of experiences here, which would then literally jump to the next one. One of my keys that I set up in my life were triggered, which brought a whole new lot of information in, moved forward again, a whole new lot of information all off at the end.
Do you have
I woke up fully.
Do you have like memories of like former lives or that kind of thing? Because you see, you bring a lot of information with you. You kind of brought that through, through like spiritual experience, or when you say you brought it through with you, is that like through like a spiritual experience, or is it just sort of different experiences you've had that kind of discovered sort of who you are then?
You know, that surprisingly is a more difficult question to answer than it might appear, because it's a sort of combination of both. It's a combination of experiences on this earth plane in this lifetime, matched with experiences from previous lifetimes on this world, all drawn together. And then overlaying that was the fact that I was actually sent here to do this particular job.
So, how many people actually follow the art of modern wizardry then? is it more centrally around here, or are there people practicing it sort of around the world?
Well, thanks to this wonderful thing called the internet, we have a worldwide membership.
Excellent.
Which is steadily growing.
I kind of what's captivated me, and I think it came from the previous interview that we did, where you said about seeking and finding. There's so many people seeking, and you kind of need to start finding. So I kind of like the idea that, you know, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just my own interpretation of like finding that within you that works with you and just working with that. And I think that's kind of what's captivated me about the art of modern wizardry then, is that kind of, you know, well, everything else doesn't work for me, so I'm going to find something that does within myself. Is that kind of what happened to you?
Well, we are wayfinders. See, so you know, we find the pathways that work for us, and we all have our individual weird as well. You see, that's weird with a Y. Weird. See, so this is the path that we all follow, and you know, it keeps you out of trouble, keeps you off the streets.
So, what is a weird?
And in the hills.
I think your weird is your own path.
Right.
The path that you take, and as I have experienced it, in a way I'm my own teacher. I follow my own path. My path will offer me different options, and then I listen to that voice in me that's directing me certain ways. But whichever way you take is the right way for you, and you will get lessons along your weird, along your path in life, and those lessons will come for you to learn from, to grow from, to understand yourself more, and then you follow your path again.
Wow.
To the next.
So is that the concept of intuition then?
Yes.
But more sort of, where does the term weird come from? It's a lovely term,
very
isn't it?
Ancient.
It's Nordic, isn't it?
Well, there's two trains of thought as to actually where it came from, but the main meaning that I've applied to it, of course, my colleagues may or may not apply other meanings to it entirely. That's the weird thing about it, see?
Yes, we have our own weird.
But basically, I apply the Celtic meaning to it, which is that everybody has their own path, their own way, but through every single way, the one is always directing them, guiding them, helping them, supporting them, until eventually always become, well, because it's all one anyway.
Yeah. So is it like actuating, you know, like actuating what's sort of in spirit? I could try to think of the word, but I can't quite think of the word. But it's a kind of actualization. That's the way I kind of look at it. It's like it's like if something, the way I had it explained to me, right, is area.
You'll have to explain.
We've got we've for those listening that wonder what the strange noise is, we've got a spirit. Was it a spirit?
It's the Spud Pickles Ghost Radar app.
Right, which picks up entities at this particular moment in time. It's picking up nothing on the radar. It's weird. It's got a little excuse the term.
Not weird at all.
A Ghost Radar Classic. Now I'm going to have a lot of fun with this tonight when I get back. We might actually see if we can actually pick things up in the house and try a few experiments on with this app and see what we can actually pick up. But this is the Ghost Radar Classic, and apparently it's, what did it just say? Oil. this entity which was right by Stanley, which is now approaching me, is now directly in the middle of the table and now disappeared. From a personal standpoint, Stanley, you came up through the spiritualist church, didn't you? I know you said to me before you had like a lot of experience with that. Do you sort of use some of that, like say for example mediumship and that sort of thing? Do you actually use that now with what you currently do?
Oh, well, I can do if needed.
He's about a few very profound words.
A wizard always provides what is needed at that particular moment in time, whatever that may be, whether it's anything from guidance to healing, to communication with other realms, because a wizard is the walker between the worlds. That's another meaning for the word wizard. Which basically means that through our connection with the One, through our connection with that tree, we are connected to all energy forms, all energy levels.
Yeah.
We exist in a multi-dimensional universe.
Yeah.
And while our ego consciousness may not be aware of all of those realities at the same time, because that'd be too much for it.
Yeah.
It's only be blown. You have that understanding that you have that connection, and that connection is there whenever you need it. A wizard always starts from a point of view that everything is known, but we ourselves, the ego, knows very little.
So, what would a lot of people that sort of listen to, or so we work with, it feels like a lot of people are asking others to tell them the answers. Like we get over 100 messages a week. A lot of them are going through this sort of life situation. You know, do you know the answers for me? And I just find it's very difficult because you don't want to sort of, obviously the person that I'm speaking to is going through something. But then you've got to find that kind of answers within you. I don't have a. People seem to think when they see a psychic, and I think a lot of it is a misrepresentation of what psychics or mediums do. Actually, for a start, I don't like the term psychic, and I don't like the term gifted. This person has a gift, because my personal belief is that we can all do it. We can all sort of, as you said yourself, Stanley, we're all connected to the One, then, to source, to the universe, whichever way you up to God, or whichever way you want to call it. And so just checking the waveform there. And what do you sort of say to people that are having sort of these constant sort of negative patterns in their life, or having their constant going through sort of constant battles on a sort of daily basis then?
Well, I would strongly advise them to get our book, The Time Workshops by Admiral Jones.
The Time Workshops by Admiral Jones. So
it's available you can order it from any good bookstore in the UK. It's available on Amazon UK, and it's available on Kindle.
Excellent.
And that book will be an eye opener for anybody who starts to read it.
So who's Admiral Jones then?
Admiral Jones is another wizard on the way.
Another wizard on the way. Hello there.
He's a brilliant author.
So is she part of the same organisation or a different organisation, or like an affiliate, or?
She's associate, I would say.
So what's it called again?
The Time Workshops by Admiral Jones.
Time Workshops by Admiral Jones. I'll take a look at that myself. So how did you guys?
It just so happens we had a copy.
How much?
Just one of those coincidences.
How much is it?
If you get it from bookstore, about £10.
It's
Yeah.
$9.99.
Yeah.
But obviously it's going to be cheaper on Kindle, and it's going to be cheaper.
Do you have a copy here?
Yeah. Do you want me to go get it?
Sure, I'll tell you, should we take a short break? I'll make sure, obviously, this has all been working perfectly. And we'll take a short break, come back in about 10 minutes. And we'll talk a bit more about, if you don't mind me asking, James, Anna and Shaun, I will get your names right, if we talk about your personal experiences.
That's great.
Would that be alright?
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's. We're going to take a short break. It's back to Jared in the studio, or music, whichever I decide to play next week when this goes out. Oh, the profound ghost box is still. It's definitely an entity around you, Stanley.
What's the word say at the top?
None.
None as in nothing.
Yeah, not as in.
Interesting.
Sam's spirit guide is a nun. And she is.
One of them is.
One of them is, yes. You've picked up she has two.
Oh, somebody in the spiritual church came here years ago.
You've got a nun as well, have you?
Yeah.
Oh wow. very profound lady, and has been a great help. I think.
Well, at least I think they said none. They could be none.
Welcome back to Worlds Beyond. Jared Waters here with Stanley, Shaun, James, and Anna from the Art of Modern Wizardry. Having a slight late lunch. Well, which will be mid-afternoon lunch for those listening. And during the break, we're having some really wonderful discussions with all of you, and thank you for the copy of the Time Workshops by Abrielle Jones. It's a lovely name, isn't it? Now, when Stanley handed me this book, he said, "Open it on a page, and that will make sense to you at this time." And the first line I can read, he continued serious once more. The first line I was drawn to. So maybe a little bit less serious.
Which I got fun very seriously.
Fun has got to be taken seriously. So, how did you guys get in? James, Shaun, Anna. How did you guys get into this?
Well, into Wizardry itself was at Swansea LC2. We were there at a health show, and we were at a stall, and Stanley was wandering through the show. He wasn't in his full outfit. He had his staff with him, and he had a badge which said, "I'm a wizard." And that caught our attention. So he came up and had a chat, and very quickly was saying things that made a lot of sense to me. And it clicked, and just seemed to know that this was something to understand. And within that, he did a treeing exercise very quickly, and that really made a lot of difference to me at that moment.
Can I just ask, what was the stall you had?
The stall was on knitting and weaving. It was Anna's stall, which was Nature Weave Wales, and so we were there for the 2 days of the Swansea show, which was great. And that was how we first came across Wizardry. But of course, we'd come across the Harry Potter version of Wizardry before, and other things. But before that, I'd really experienced healing, Reiki, and other healing treatments, experiences, and did it myself, but hadn't come across Wizardry as a philosophy, and also looking at the energies of the world, which that initially caught my attention. And from that day, we started reading the book, The Time Workshops, because we had a copy just very similar to you. You've got a copy and you'll start reading it. And then had lots of questions. And so we ended up contacting Stanley and asking questions. And that's the thing about Wizardry. It was not to doubt yourself. Don't doubt that you've had this understanding or you've had these things, but to question what you know, question everything around. So it's not that you're learning something that is taught and you have to take it on faith that this is going on. It's more that you then question what it is that you understand, how it changes, and then your understanding changes, and so it opens it up, and so you can just ask yourself questions, ask others questions, and find answers, and then see how you progress. And that's how really wizardry started for me.
So it's more, as you say, of like a philosophy rather than being like something where, like with spiritualism, you do various meditations to achieve like a certain skill. It's more about how you live your life then.
That's right. I mean, the original meaning of religion was way of life, which then changed to say the way of God and more complicated things. And so way of life is like fundamental within that, and everybody has a way of life. And so a lot of the things I took from the book was looking at your own personal attitude to things. So is your attitude a positive one, a negative one, or a natural one, and understanding how that interacts with yourself, so you get a personal understanding. And that made the book practical, because you could see lots of practical things from the way it was written about how you interacted within your own life, as well as having a philosophy, a broader philosophy, an understanding of the world. And so both of those grew, and really enjoyed it.
What about you, Anna? Did you join the same time, or?
Yes, that's right. I mean, I was at this health and wellbeing show with my stall, and I'm a weaver and a spinner and a healer, and so as I'm spinning and making the wool, the healing energy is going into it. So I was on my stall with my spinning wheel, and this chap walked past, and I just spotted this little logo and the word wizard, and it was, right, that's the man. I need to talk to him. And
yeah,
it was one of those little voice moments that was just saying, yes, you need to meet this man. You need to learn. You need to talk to him, learn from him. And so that's where it all started with me.
And what about you, Shaun?
I was a druid, practicing druid, with associations links to the Avebury Circle. And the strangest thing, Stanley sort of headhunted me, and we spoke, and I'd always prided myself that I knew my magic and my philosophy quite well. But there's this old fella running rings around me. Caused me to think about a lot of things, and I'd always been taught that druidry was the pinnacle of the magical arts, that you couldn't really go any further. So, I was surprised to find out that I didn't know everything. And, he really taught me to rein my ego in, and I'm starting to learn some things now that are really opening my eyes, particularly some of the things that are in the book. And from long discussions we have in the wee hours of the morning on Skype and Facebook.
I'll have to add you guys on Facebook if you don't mind. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
I've seen the Facebook group that you guys have. It's what's it called again? I forgot what it's actually called.
There's one for those interested in wizardry. I can't remember what the other one's called now.
The Wizard's Tree of Life.
I said the Wizard's Tree of Life. Yeah. And it's it's pretty successful.
The open group for anybody who wants to join it. Anybody who's got any interest in psychic work, artistic work, whatever. Is the Wizard's Tree of Life, Light and Love. With an open group, anybody can join it. We have a secondary group, the Interested in Wizardry group, for those who are specifically interested in what we're doing, how we're going. We have 3 pages on Facebook. We've got the Wayfinders Association and Modern Wizardry page, which is our official page. We have Wayfinders Wizards, which is full of lots of interesting energy sites around the UK and other places. And we have the Wayfinders Academy page, where we do updates from the Academy.
So if I was interested in sort of, I don't know if this is the right way of putting it then, if I was interested in becoming a wizard, or finding that wizard element within inside myself, what would I do?
You just discover that you've got it inside you already. You're already here. We're all wizards. We've just got to remember that. That's all.
So what about joining the organisation and becoming part of the organisation?
Yeah, you can do that.
Well, you can connect up on Facebook, as I said, in the Wizardry group. As soon as you join the group, you can send me, as soon as you're in, you can send me like, I'm interested. Yeah. And that's bound to get somebody's attention. Or you can contact us from the website itself, on the what do you call it, the messaging part of the website, in which case you'll be in direct contact with our web wizard, Ken Collinson, just tell him you're interested and he will send you the information on how to get in. Those are the two methods that we prefer that people use. That way we have a chance to actually get to know them.
And I actually help them. So obviously if you join up, what would happen from them? Are there like courses and things that you run, or is it more of a case of meetings, or?
Well, I mean, the first thing, if you join the organisation, then you go onto Yama, which is our academy, and in the academy there's a question and answer series of posts that have already happened where people have asked particular questions, and you would just read through that and ask more questions or see if it answers some of the questions that you've been asking, and then more questions are asked and different people give their perspectives and answers and discussed. And the Time Workshops book itself is the key piece of reading material to start off with, because that's a good starting place to begin to understand time as an energy and read that. And then the treeing exercise, the connection to the one, is it? And Stanley's just whispering, don't forget the 4 laws. And on the web page, the 4 laws of wizardry, which starts you on that connection path of understanding. And so within that, you've got really everything covered. You've got a book to read, lots of questions you can ask that get different answers from different people on around the world, and also some brief guidance from the laws and the treeing exercise. But there's no formal, like you learn this, that and the other. You come in with your experience, you talk about your experiences, read other people's experiences, and the book.
Yes, and help each other.
How did the Time Workshops come about then?
Basically, Abby had known me for a while, and she couldn't quite figure me out. I was doing things that, in her experience, people weren't supposed to be able to do.
Like what?
Well, for example, at the time she was going to university to do a psychology philosophy course, and if she was facing a really tough period, we'll put it like that, if she was facing a tough period in the sort of questions that were being asked in there, she would sort of self-sabotage herself, so it would be late. But if I happened to be around at the time, I used to escort her from her house down to university, and she would always arrive 3 to 5 minutes ahead of the lecturer. And she never had to figure out why.
Just those sort of strange synchronicities in life. Do you sort of like, do you get people sort of coming to you always asking sort of questions for answers and that kind of thing then, personally?
I don't know, do I, Shaun?
Yeah, you don't always get the answers you like. And it sometimes makes you feel very stupid because you do the answers to those questions all along and you just hid them from yourself. Yeah, that's how it works.
Do I have it?
That's exactly how it works, yes.
Do I get it?
Silence.
Like we used like the concept of money, of bringing sort of money as an energy into it. This is what you told me, and like without using that what you said about being a seeker and being a finder. What is actually the difference between being a seeker and a finder then?
Well, if you go out seeking something, you're in seeking mode.
And you never
So you're constantly seeking. So even if you come across what you're looking for, because you're in seeking mode, you'll never find it. But if you go out in finding mode, you have already programmed yourself to find what it is that you've gone out for. So there's a big difference between finding and seeking something.
So, if someone is not at a crossroads, don't actually not know what they want to do with the rest of their life, they just go and say, I'm going to start each day saying, I'm going to find what I'm going to do with the rest of my life.
Exactly. It's a change in the way you think about things, you see. And now those little changes in the way that you think about things actually alters your reality around you.
Because I suppose you can kind of think, oh, I wish I had that, I wish I had this. How do you sort of, so you change, in a sense, you kind of change it as in, I know I'll find this, I know I'll find that.
Well, instead of wishing for this and wishing for that, you find satisfaction in the things that you have. And then you draw more to you, see.
I think the word will always provide you what you need, not necessarily what you want.
Yeah.
And I think there's sometimes a distinction.
You on the site, and I know I brought this up with you on the previous interview. You have the concept of the shadow. I remember James. I think you summed it very well. Can you tell us about the concept of the shadow?
Did I? You did sum it up really well. So the shadow, yes, it's really something that, although it was set up to help us grow quicker, to help us guide and grow faster, we tend to get stuck in it and accept the negative and believe it is the only reality, and so we get stuck in our fears and stuck in our negative too much, not recognizing that it's there to help us to learn from and grow. And so instead of getting locked into this shadow, what we should do is recognize it for what it is and stop blaming other things or other people for things that happen to us. Take accountability for what we've done and then understand what it's telling us so that we grow, change it from a negative to a positive in that way, understand it and grow, so it becomes a natural process of growth. And so the shadow can be perceived as being quite a negative thing, but actually if you change your philosophy on life, it can be something that helps you grow quickly as it was intended to.
So what about like sort of negative entities then? Like people have had experiences with negative, not so much human negativity, but like other negative entities. Like I know we've had an experience like that ourselves, and we found that whenever this is something I was talking to Sam about the other day, was when we were feeling negative, it felt that we would welcome in the more sort of negative energy, these negative entities into our house and into our life. And when we were feeling more positive, it felt it kind of allowed the spirit energies that we recognise to come in then. But are these actually living entities, or are they sort of just energy manifesting itself in certain ways? Or
well, first of all, you would have to look at what you meant by living and what your understanding of the word living is.
But when I say living, as in having a life, then whether it's in another reality or in our reality, having an existence, a body, then, for example.
But I think the key thing that you said there to understand first is that you recognise that you were negative first, and then you're attracting more negative around you. And so the key aspect there is recognising that you are the one that's negative first. So you're starting it, you're creating it. And so a very useful set of tools to use is to be able to flip a negative to a positive, so that then you can move to the natural. Because if you're in the negative and you stay in that negative, you're going to be in a negative spiral, so to speak. You're stuck and locked, and you can't get a positive out of a negative. You have to change it to be a positive before you can move on. So you can flip things. So instead of getting stuck in, oh, this is terrible, and blame other people for it, it's like, oh, what's this showing me? Something about me. What do I have to learn from this? What is this about? So that you're not blaming other people for things, and you flip it so that you make the situation positive, so then you can learn your lesson from it and move on and start growing. Because its idea is that you grow faster, not that you get stuck in it and stuck in your own fears and situations in that. And so the key there is to realise your own accountability for what you're doing, understand how you're doing it, what you're doing, and then that's in a sense what you're creating and also what's returning. Because if what you send out is what's coming back, then your negatives that you're sending out are returning, but also your positives are returning as well. So you want to change your attitudes to send out more positive things so they return, but not become over positive because you lose balance. So that you return to a natural balanced position.
So when you say over positive, oh, that's nice. I don't know that horrible incident that's happened on the road where someone was hurt and that kind of thing. Because there's so much sort of torment in the world, isn't there? There's so much, like, even people hurt by natural disasters or warfare and that kind of thing. What's the kind of view on this on a sort of global scale? Is it kind of like as above, so below sort of thing then?
Yeah, well, first of all, look at it on a personal level and see what you're harmonising with. If you're personally harmonising with lots of negatives around you, then you're creating your environment to be surrounded by lots of negative things. So you're harmonising with that negative. And so there are many situations that are created where you could spend a lot of time listening to programs and news articles that are very negative all the time, and so you're harmonising with all that negative. And instead of harmonising with all of that, see the positives and harmonise with more positive things so that you become more natural and you don't lock yourself into that type of activities.
It's like your own personal graphic equaliser on your music system, see? And you've got all those little buttons tuned up exactly to the way that you want to hear it, that music. And you daren't let anybody touch it because it just won't sound the same. So this is what we're doing, is we're seeking out that balance, and the world will be the way you see it. There's bad things that happen in the world, absolutely, but there is an equal amount of good things that happen in the world too. And if you concentrate on that balance, keeping that balance, then you'll be balanced, and everything around you will fall into place.
Within that, it's always look at yourself and what you are doing and balancing with. And so if you're looking out there for things that are negative and stories that are doom and gloom, then that's what you'll find in that way. Whereas if you're finding balance, then go for that.
Your emotions are your early warning system. If you're not feeling right, it's because you're not thinking right, and you don't see that situation properly.
And this is where the book is very useful, I find, in a practical way for showing how you might harmonise with a negative, how you may be thinking that you're doing something positive, but actually, because it's based on something you're not telling yourself that's truthful, then actually you're being negative and you're not aware of it. And so the book can bring that to your attention in very practical descriptions. Then you can understand and realise what's going on more.
So bringing more sort of positivity into your life will, as you say, alter your reality.
Positive to get to a natural rather than positive to become overbalanced into that.
So what would happen if you became overbalanced in the positive then?
I think you've used the term yourself. If you go over positive, then you're in a negative, really, because you're over positive.
Yeah. You're kind of thinking, isn't that nice, that gentleman just got stabbed outside my window?
If you're overly positive,
That's
then
not
you're due
truthful,
for some disappointment, I think.
Where so it's basically becoming in tune then with your natural flow of life, where you're naturally sort of where you're naturally going through life then, and sort of allowing the different experiences and the different lessons you chose to learn in life to actually come in on their own accord.
Yes, so that you're not in this what we might call the seeking mode, where you're bringing too much negative in and you cluttered yourself with it all, and suffering comes or overcomplication comes. Whereas if you're in a more balanced state and occasionally a lesson comes along, then it's more gentle in that way, more natural.
Well, I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'd like to do, I'm going to read this book because I'm quite captivated by it. I'd like to do a little review on it when I've done for you guys.
That'd be great.
Because I don't know why it kind of feels as if this has probably helped me on a sort of personal level. But what are sort of like the 4 laws of modern wizardry then?
Well, they're described in detail on our webpage, and the key is 1 + 1 = 1. That you are one with everything, and how you progress to that. And so recognizing that you are one with everything that is, and so recognizing that things that separate you from the one are illusions in that way, and so you are actually one with things that are around you. And so it's a matter of doing a balancing exercise and focusing on yourself as part of one. And it takes you through the different stages of doing that. Very much like the treeing exercise starts you off on this.
How did the laws of modern wizardry, how did they come into being? Was it yourself that sort of had this information spiritually, or was it something that's been handed down through generations, so that with research you've done, or?
Everything comes naturally to a wizard. Because if we start collecting stuff from the unnatural, we can very easily find ourselves bogged down in shadow.
So you kind of
but the information in this context, the information flowed from the one through the dragons to me, and from me out to everyone.
So the concept of dragons, this is one thing I'd like to kind of pick up on.
I know, that's why we mentioned it.
I do you know what, my friend Dave would absolutely love you guys. He's very much the same thing. He will part answer your question with a question, which will kind of think, this is my narrow problem. Now I'm going to think of all this other stuff. Well, allow it to come to you naturally and enjoy the adventure. Okay.
I think you're getting it.
I get it.
I know. To be honest, we'll have to arrange for him to meet you guys, because I really think he find some sort of solidarity with it, because he's just naturally sort of a thing that way. It has been a very much a guiding influence in my life. Dragons, please explain.
There you go.
We're on the radio, remember? Very, very good at audio narration.
Young James, would you like to have a bash at that one?
Have a bash at it. There.
What are dragons?
Well, they can
Fire-breathing lizards, or
well, they can be seen as that, but they can be seen. Yeah, if you consider energy and a consciousness, a pure energy, a pure activity, then that would be seen as a dragon energy, a pure consciousness that exists for that. And so from contact with the dragons you can have those pure energies come to experience with you. You can have communication with them because they are that consciousness at the same time, and they are a way that we see they form a separate part of the one, so to speak. So they are still part of the one, but they're just a bit that we can separate off, communicate with, but they still belong back together with the one.
They teach us really,
Yeah.
as well. You understand certain energy signatures because there are lots and lots of different types of energy signatures in the way that there are lots and lots of different types of dragons. And we just learn to work with them rather than try and use that energy, rather than try to abuse that energy. Try and work with that.
So for wizardry, then the what people might describe as archangels, we would see as dragons and recognize as dragons, and so that energy, that communication that is seen in that way for people who choose to see them in that way, we see as dragons. And the only reason they are seen by us as dragons because we've asked them how they want to be seen, and that's how they've said they want to be seen. For others, they take a human form because they're less frightening, more appealing, whatever the reason the person has. So that's the similarity that you would have with that.
What about the identities they're given? Like obviously angels, the archangel, you have like Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, I don't know, Metatron or
there's
Megatron.
There's no order, not in the same way as you'd see angels. They just are.
They have a similarity in the sense that if you see Archangel Michael as a messenger, then the air dragon for us would be the messenger, the communication aspect, the air, the mental aspect. But it's also a balance, so that the energies are balanced.
Universal balancing force.
So I'm going to throw this question out there. What is the universe? Very strange. I may as well ask because obviously
It's probably a simple answer: everything and nothing.
The body of the universal dragon.
Yes.
The body of the universal dragon.
Yeah.
There we go.
Excellent. I think there's two experiences I want to draw upon. One was Sam actually had a meditation where she was riding a dragon once. I found that very empowering. Now obviously I can't speak for Sam. When she speaks to you guys later, she'll probably tell you about it. The other one was we had when we were going to, we had a night a few weeks ago where we had some really odd paranormal activity. We had a light actually jump out of the socket, hit the wall and go down the stairs. We had another light in the same room 10 minutes later shatter in Sam's hands. And weird things are happening, excuse the term, were happening around the house, and to the point where we're actually thinking about leaving the house. Now, the first thing I want to ask about was is that a sort of drawing of, would you interpret that as a drawing of negative energy to us because that's the way we were feeling? Because I'm wondering whether it was actually a negative energy or entity, or whether it was someone trying to send a message, i.e. someone in spirit trying to send a message. Because though it was frightening, when we kind of understood it, didn't seem as frightening. So first off, what's your sort of concept of like sort of paranormal activity? The second part of the question was, the one we've tried everything to rebalance our house. But again, if we are not feeling that energy, then any protection or cleansing in the world ain't going to help. But we called in a dragon. It was basically a prayer or affirmation then, which called in the energy of the dragon. I have never felt anything like it in my life. It was just this pure force of love. Just went, have a bit of that. Do you know what I mean? Have a bit of me. Like, sorry, doggy. There's a dog under the table, by the way. Here we are.
So why did you call that in? What had guided you to do that?
Sam we're getting to the point where we tried everything, and it was to the point where we thought this is ruining our lives. it's this activity. We've been having activity since we moved into the house. Literally within 3-4 weeks of moving into the house, we were. I don't know if we were feeling negative beforehand. I don't think we were. I actually think things were picking up. And it knocked us right down. It even stopped us being able to work spiritually. We couldn't, like, whenever I tried to open up spiritually, as if he just kept shutting us down. The apparitions that I had an apparition at the end of our bed, which was non-human. The things that we'd see around the house were really scary, like hooded skull figures and this sort of thing, and it was really, really creepy for a while. And a lot of the guests that we've talked to on the show, have offered different opinions. We've asked paranormal experts, UFO experts, demonologists, but it's a case of one of them things that if someone came around and debunked it, I'd be like, oh cool, okay, it was that. But then these experiences happen to us for a reason, and I'm kind of like, I want to find the reason for it and find why it happened and how that can help others. See, I'm actually using the term find.
Yeah. No. It's all depends on how we look at it. Early on in the interview, Stanley mentioned that we are multi-dimensional. And there are lots of different dimensions inhabiting the same place simultaneously. And sometimes we touch these other realities. Sometimes these other realities come through. There's no such thing as death. Death is an illusion. Everything is frequency. We just simply move from one frequency to another. And people are people, whichever frequency they're in. You get good guys and you get the bad guys.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of accepting that and seeing it all as one thing. And any darkness that you feel rising inside you, it just won't anymore. And if you are having darkness rising inside of you, then all you're doing really is attracting more energies of a similar nature. So it's pretty much as simple as that.
If you are encountering these entities, how do you put a stop to it? Is it just generally by
I would make it even simpler than what Shaun just said. Because
you can.
that's wizards. We believe that everything should be totally simple. It has to be simple, or I wouldn't understand it. It's as simple as this. The whole thing was geared by yours and Sam's need to progress, your feelings of entrapment, your feelings of being cut off, alone, unable to cope. All these shadow manifestations becoming manifest at the same time, and all of it designed specifically for you to call out to the one or the one's agents for help. Which you eventually did.
Well, Sam was going through looking at different things, because we said, look, we tried everything. We tried sage, we tried meditations, we tried blessings on the house, and it would just keep rising, and it would go away for a bit, everything would be fine, and suddenly bang, and back again. Now, one thing we hadn't looked at, and we only started to look at, is the way we were behaving when this was happening. How were we in a negative state of mind when this is coming into our consciousness or awareness? Even to the point that at one point we asked ourselves the question: can these dark entities then actually, cause the death of the physical body, and how bad can it get? And I said, say again.
How bad can you get? You see, with your
exactly.
So you create these things as well and give them power. You see, by
that's
thinking a certain way. Yeah.
Now, when she found this well, it's not. I want to say incantation, but it wasn't an incantation. It was just like a prayer, and she said, "We'll try this one because it's got a dragon in it. I like dragons." I'm like, okay. So we tried it, and the force that came over was just like, woof. And as I said, it was just like, have a bit of me. And since then, she's done it a few nights when she's felt, unsafe or not a thing. And it's really uplifted the house. And you picked up on this earlier when you said the house had a nice energy and flow to it.
It seemed to flow quite nicely, I thought.
you know, and there's different times where a few of our sensitive friends would say the house has got, you know, really welcoming sort of feel to it, and other times it's like, I don't want to be here. So, what sort of experiences have you guys had with dragons?
Should I go first?
Well,
He's going to say something about 3 words.
No. Well, you know, I followed a magical path for some time, but I never really realised to what extent that a wizard could take it to. Stanley and I went for a wander in the wee hours of the morning. Everything was pretty pitch black in the village. We went up to there's a football field on the side of the mountain behind these houses. And everything was black, we could hardly see, you couldn't even see a hand in front of your face.
excuse me, I could.
Yeah, well, yeah. Stanley showed me the treeing exercise using a staff.
Right.
So this is the
I've
first
seen
time
your
I'd ever
staff,
used
they're
this.
wonderful,
Yeah.
by the way.
So using our staffs, we did the treeing exercise, and when we came out of it, well, Stanley had it all along, but he never let on. But there's a thing called dragon sight, which I didn't realise. And as soon as I opened my eyes, everything had a greenish hue, and it was like broad daylight. In fact, we bounded around the field like a couple of children before we came home. So that was my first experience of actually connecting with the dragon, and the ability that it opened for me was to have this dragon sight, and to be able to see the aura around things, and even at night, even in pitch black. Yeah.
Have you guys had any experiences with dragons?
Very similar experience to Shaun actually with the green sight in the mountain visions, where and actually raindrops bursting into bright lights in the night, which was, I called it my raindrop day when I did that, just because of that. But yes, stunning. But the dragon energies are all around us; they're all everywhere, and so connecting more and more to them grows all the time. And so the water dragon would be the healing aspects and the healing element. And so you tapping into these elements, and other people will be tapping into them in their own different ways. If you come from a healing background or a spiritual background, you'll be connecting to those energies.
It's all the same thing, isn't it? It's all the same sort of, all the same energy.
It's the same thing. It's just the connection, the degree of connection, I guess. So that all of a sudden things go, wow.
Yeah.
Is there anything that would allow a more sort of bluish haze around things? The reason I ask, we were taking the dog for a walk a few weeks ago, and there's a field up in Combe Park called the Target. Now, I've never really, I only went up there when I was a child, and it was very different back then. And it's one of those sort of things, you've got a nice big muddy boggy path. It opens into a beautiful field. And Sam was walking with the dog, and I sort of walked to the edge of the field, and I looked out, and you can see from the top of the ronda down to the bottom. And I was blown away by this view, because the way the valley was cradled in the mountains, and the fact that I could hear, it was just the fact it was all around me. I said to Sam, look, if you want to carry on with the dog, I'm just going to stay here for a minute. So I stood there, and I felt like my arms sort of go out like that, as my arms sort of go out, like I explained to you before what happened when I first met my guide. And I just opened my eyes, and all the mountains had like a blue aura to them. I mean, everything just seemed brighter somehow, like a brighter shade of like, but it was more of a sort of blue, and everything just sort of had this vibrance, and I could hear things that were happening.
Was that in daylight?
Yeah.
Blue in daylight. We were at night.
Oh.
At night for green, blue in the day. You see.
I just looked out over it, and I just thought, wow. And I knew that I would have some sort of experience that day. And then when I came back out to the field, walked down this path, I couldn't go down there. I had this overwhelming feeling of hopelessness. of being left behind for all the things, as if all the things I had done negatively in my life then was all rushing back to me, and it was like really overwhelmed me for a while, and it felt as if, I suppose the lesson was very similar to what you guys have been saying, is about turning that negative into a positive. Look at the positive from it, look at what you actually learned from it, not what you, how you hurt from it then. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah. If you're going to evolve, you see, you need something to evolve against. You see, and all these negativities are something to evolve against. All these little darknesses that help us to evolve. In fact, they're quite necessary. It's just that there's become an imbalance, and we're given that negative energy too much power.
So to round the interview off then, guys, is there anything that you'd like me to cover that hasn't been covered?
Silence. I think maybe just I'd like to say that wizardry is about a philosophy looking at how you interact with things, maybe your own personal attitudes, but also that we don't use spells, we don't do rituals, those sorts of things that people might consider wizards do. Far from it. We give thanks to the world, thanks to the one for things that happen to us, but we don't do spells and rituals.
We are the magic.
So do you actually just say thanks to the one, or do you say thanks universe?
When we have the particular times of the year that are solstices and events, then we would just simply give thanks. On that occasion, if we're not together, we would light a candle as we do that, and the candle would burn for a few hours, and that would be as simple as it is.
That's brilliant. It's been absolutely wonderful, and thank you very much for allowing me to come down and meet you guys, and it'd be nice to actually be able to work together in future, because I have to say I've been really inspired by talking to all four of you. Thank you very much everyone for listening. We're gonna cut back now to Jared in the studio, who
and on behalf of Modern Wizardry, may I say we're very sorry to have bored you all to tears the last couple of hours.
I'm going to by the time I've done this, I am actually going to find the time. I'm actually going to start doing this now. I'm going to find the time to read this book. I think Anna's just collapsed in laughter. It's been absolutely enlightening, and it'd be good to sort of, to be honest, I'm looking into. I'd like to be able to join and sort of learn more.
You'll be very welcome.
It is. I'd like to be able to join and learn more. So I'll start by reading this.
That's what we've done. And don't forget the laws on the website. Because the two run hand in hand. Mm-hmm. What's in there and the laws on the website run together.
When was this published then, this book?
2007, I think, was it?
2007.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It took her a few years to write it.
So to end this session, I'm going to open a page of the time workshops and see what it actually says to me. So I'm going to read the first line I'm drawn to, okay? A. Stop, go. B. I hear you, I understand. C. Thank you, never mind. D. What do you think? Ladies and gentlemen listening, it's up to you.